Hello and welcome back to Grassroots Crypto, where I like to teach people about crypto. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Thorchain and going through an overview of Thorchain, looking at the different roles like liquidity providers, swappers, traders, and node operators, as well as the different components. And full disclosure, I'm going to be copying a video that Kai did as he walked through the picture, which we have the picture here. And what I've done is just created a nicer version, a bit more pretty, a bit more colors. And I'm going to be going through this picture, just explaining, every part, every component, how that works together. And this will be the setup for future videos where I go into each part in a bit more detail. So first, I'm just going to talk about the roles, like what type of roles or hats that people are going to wear. First, you have the node operators. They operate the node. They provide security for Thorchain. They do a lot of different things, a bunch of stuff. We'll go through that in a minute. Then you have the liquidity providers. They are the first-class citizen for Thorchain. They provide the liquidity in the liquidity pools. Without them, kind of the whole thing's a bit useless. You have swappers and arbitragers, and these two are users. Swappers are looking to swap one cryptocurrency for another, and then arbitragers are looking to rebalance pools when they become out of balance, because they can earn income from doing that. There's two UIs. First, there's BepSwap, which is currently in use in the current ChaosNet, and then in multi-chain they'll become Asgard. What I'm going to explain here is kind of irrespective of where we are in single chain, multi-chain, BepSwap, Asgard, doesn't really matter. So we have nodes. Nodes are obviously run by node operators. There are currently 36 nodes within Thorchain ChaosNet, and nodes create new blocks that create block rewards that go to the Thorchain blockchain, otherwise known as the replicated state machine. This is a Cosmos SDK powered chain using Tendermint Core, so it's BFT, which is quite a mouthful to say. But really think of Thorchain blockchain as kind of like an application that runs on your Android phone, and the Android being the Cosmos SDK and Tendermint component. We'll talk about that more in subsequent videos. So the nodes create the blocks that have the transactions in it, and they also observe external blockchains. So when say BNB on the Binance chain or other Binance chain assets move into Thorchain through to the Asgard Vault, then they observe that and they come together and they see what, all kind of agree on what they've seen. And then particularly when assets are withdrawn from the Asgard Vault, then they all agree on that. So nodes not only agree on what happens internally, they also agree on what's happened externally with respect to Thorchain on external blockchains. And they all need to kind of agree in super majority consensus of what's happening in either case. They provide economic security via their bond. So nodes have to bond in order to be a node. And then that ensures that the nodes are doing the right thing by the network. Essentially, they've got something to lose. And they help secure the actual liquidity pools themselves. We'll go through that more in a bit more detail. Nodes in a way kind of are responsible for the security of the vaults. It's like levels of detail, level of complexity through all of this. But just trying to keep it as an overview. So they are in a way directly responsible for their own Yggdrasil vault, as each node has one of those vaults, and they're particularly good for high speeds, like swaps. So think of that like a Lamborghini vault. Doesn't carry much, but it's very fast. And then you have the Asgard Vault, which is a bit more like a semi, so it carries a lot, but a bit slower to deal with. And that's where the primary funds, most of the funds are stored, including the bond and stuff like that. So each one of them has an address for each chain, and the nodes kind of would say, in a way, look after that and provide security for that. They also run a Midgard, and that is used to connect to a lot of tools to provide information of the network that you would have seen in dashboards and like RuneState info, stuff like that. Then you have the liquidity pools, and that's liquidity providers provide funds into liquidity pools that then allow users to use those or interact with those liquidity pools. Thorchain uses continuous liquidity pools, and that provides a kind of like a slip-based fee. So depending on how much you move it out of balance, will depend how much a user has to pay in fees. So users, whether they're arbitragers or swappers, doesn't really matter. They're all providing swaps or changing one cryptocurrency for another, and that generates fees. So the fees based off like a network fee and a slip fee, plus the block rewards creates the system income, and that's distributed back to the nodes. So 2/3 to the nodes, 1/3 to the liquidity providers, or put into the liquidity pools that the liquidity providers have redemption rights on when they withdraw. This can change. This split between 1/3, 2/3 can change depending on the incentive pendulum, which really kind of depends on the relationship between the bond the nodes have put up and the funds in the liquidity pools. And you can read more about the incentive pendulum here to understand safe, unsafe, optimal, that type of thing. Just as a very brief overview of a liquidity pool. So liquidity providers put in equal amounts of one asset. Even if I could change this to asset, doesn't matter if it's asset or BNB or whatever. Asset probably won't fit. No, it does. So they provide equal amounts of an asset and rune to the liquidity pool. And then when arbitragers or swappers, they take one out. So they might want to take an asset out, or they might want to take rune out. So a swapper will make a pool imbalanced. So they'll do something like this. And then arbitragers will add, or they will take, if it's like this, they will take out liquidity to bring it back. And in doing so, fees are generated, and those fees go back to the pool, which then the liquidity provider will have a bit of a claim to when they withdraw. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an overview of how ThorChain works, the different components. We've got the different roles here. Node operators that operate the nodes. We have the liquidity providers that provide liquidity into the liquidity pools. We have the users that use ThorChain for one reason or another. This all generates fees that are paid to the liquidity provider or nodes. That changes depending on the incentive pendulum. Then we have really looking at a liquidity pool in more detail. You have liquidity providers provide funds in a liquidity pool, and swappers will pull it out of balance generally. And then arbitragers will try and bring it back to balance. Hope you enjoyed this video. If things like liquidity pools are a bit new to you, see my video on liquidity pools for beginners. If you're wondering about things like impermanent loss, see my video on impermanent loss. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. If you have any questions, put them in the comments part down below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, thanks, bye.